Neighbor to the Bourget private plane airport, north of Paris, le Musée de l'Air et de l'Espace is where you can discover it all in a former airport. Plus, you can visit inside Concorde aircrafts and inside some other aircraft. There is a lot to discover there, so let me share that with you today. Bonjour, my name is Blandine and I am a big fan of le Musée de l'Air et de l'Espace, north of Paris, and for 80% of my life I've lived in or around Paris. In this video I'll tell you why this museum is so interesting, and I'll give you a little bit of historical background, some tips and fun facts. So let's dive in. If you like to travel by plane with no pain, this visit for your creativity would be a big game. So why is this museum interesting? And I think it's a great visit because you will see it all from the birth of planes to rockets and spaceships. And all of that being displayed in a real former airport. I would say it's the same idea as the Intrepid Museum of New York, except that le Musée de l'Air et de l'Espace is all about air, which is air, flying history, and espace, which is space and space conquest history. It's a big museum with inside halls and outside hangars and a tarmac with aircraft to visit. But it's also the perfect place to understand the creative process. And I am passionate about the creative process. Oftentimes, creativity makes me happy. So the first way for men to go in the air was through the hot air balloon. Hot air balloons had a big popular success. Thus, they would be found all over the home decorations. At le Musée Carnavalet, you would find home decor pieces with hot balloons on them that show this balloon mania. And this is also why we had this huge balloon at the Olympics as a wink to our history. So don't hesitate to watch the video about the Olympic cauldron. It will give you the history of the first flying balloon from Versailles, and the first one with an animal in it. As per the first aircraft, they were inspired by bat wings, the animal being source of observation and creativity. And there you will find also a long line of trials and errors. Then you'll understand how World War I pushed aviation to make huge progress, in particular as far as instruments are concerned. Back then, military aviation became a key element and air superiority helped a lot. The interwar hall shows the beginning of commercial flights and it provides details of the conquest of the Atlantics, of the North Atlantic crossing by plane. It highlights the epic story of Charles Lindbergh, and you will also find a nod to the French writer Saint-Exupéry. He was also a famous aviator. You will find a colorful statue of Le Little Prince, Le Petit Prince, his famous character. And then a whole hall is dedicated to World War II, and you can get in the aircrafts. You can imagine soldiers jumping with parachutes. A whole hall is dedicated to helicopters and the high mountain rescue helicopters. Another hall is dedicated to jets. Another hall is dedicated to military aviation and the French Air Force. There you will see the first French fighter that broke the sound barrier. But what I love the most is getting inside Concorde, because there are two Concordes, one in front of another. So you get in one, cross, and go through the second one and get down. It's the 001 prototype as well as the Sierra Delta, the one who was the record-breaking one. In the Space Hall, you'll discover the Soyuz capsule, the one that takes astronauts to the ISS orbiting the Earth. And you will also discover objects that return from space. So I love this hall too. The working of communication satellites are also very well explained, but what I like the most about this museum is walking on the tarmac. And there, on the tarmac, you would get inside a Boeing 747, the jumbo jet, and this is a plane that revolutionized air transport. I love seeing the inside of it. You even see a box carrying animals and a car being... The tarmac also features two life-size models of the Ariane 1 and Ariane 5 rockets, built by the European Space Agency, the French National Center for Space Studies, and Ariane Space Company for the 1979 and 1995 Paris Air Shows. Even the control tower can be visited with a dedicated ticket. Some departments of the French Civil Aviation Authority remained active on this site, on these premises, until 2016. The control tower remained in operation until 1983. On a clear day, you can see the Sacré-Cœur and the Eiffel Tower from there. Let me give you a little bit of historical background here. Le Bourget Airport dates back to the beginning of the First World War, when it consisted of a few hangars. After the war, the aerodrome took shape, and its military function was supplemented by civilian transport, by commercial flights, and the Art Deco terminal building was completed in 1937. In 1973, when Roissy-Charles de Gaulle Airport was built, it was transformed into a museum. Also, the Bourget is the town name, but we refer at the Bourget for the airport. Today, Le Bourget is still an airport dedicated to private airplanes. Now, some tips on planning. A few tips for you. It's one of those museums which entry is free the first Sunday of each month all year long. Plus, visiting on Sunday morning is a very good idea because you won't get any traffic to get there, and no traffic to get back if you come back early to Paris, let's say leaving the museum at 3 p.m. After 3 p.m, people would come back from their weekend and they will produce traffic jam. It's a 30 minutes drive from l'Arc de Triomphe when there is no traffic. So, if you arrive at 10 and you leave at 3, it leaves you 5 hours with a lunch break, which is great. I have no clue if the food at the restaurant is good, but prices seem okay, and I would say it looks like a school restaurant. Another tip, the museum halls are at regulated temperature, but the aircraft hangars and the plane's visit are at the same temperature as the outside air, so freezing in winter. The day before yesterday, the sky was blue, so it was beautiful, but it was freezing cold. We went there the day before yesterday because this museum hosts a special fair for students who want to work in aeronautics. So it was much more crowded than on a usual Sunday. Of course, it's a kids-friendly museum, so for those of you having kids, you will be able to borrow educational kits at the ticket office. There is also a dedicated area for the 6-12 years old where you can do experiments with your kids for 1 hour. It's a ticket entrance called Planet Pilot. As per teens, they usually love the planetarium, which is also a ticket entrance. The temporary exhibitions are included in the regular ticket and they often are very interesting. Every 2 other years, the Bourget City/Event Center, next to the museum, hosts the International Paris Air Show, which is as much for professionals as for the general public. They bring together stakeholders from around the world. It's a huge event. It's a must-do event for people that are passionate about aviation and space. It's said to be the largest event in the industry, and it's in June. From intrepid pioneers to cutting-edge technologies, this event is where innovation takes flight, dreams soar, and the future is shaped, as they say it. Here are some fun facts I learned. The youngest person in space was 18 and the oldest 17. There are 2 golf balls on the moon, and the Voyager 1 probe is currently 23 billion kilometers from Earth. Being abroad with your family can be stressful, as you don't want to make any mistakes, and you don't want to waste your time, and you don't want to waste your money, and you want to make great memories. I have a great deal of great memories, and some of them are awkward. Once they began to play the bouncing ball in a monastery, it was time to get out. My go-to day while visiting was big breakfast for them with whatever they wanted in the morning, as big as a museum visit as possible at the opening hour of the museum in the morning, then picnic or quick lunch, and then for the afternoon I would let them one at a time choose for the activity we would do. And then I would end the day with a nice real dinner in a restaurant. Et voilà, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if it was interesting to you and if you discovered something, I would be thrilled if you would leave a blue thumb up, and why not subscribe. Until next time, thank you for your time. Enjoy Paris. C'est du bon boulot ça. On a fait du bon boulot. C'était enregistré? Ah oui. A whole hole? Ah